I get maybe know how we would be happy.
How we should be happy. Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
are you always happy?
Okay. All right. It's very difficult. This one is very difficult.
Where I'm here with a psychology doctor, Gaurav Gill. Where the who I'm one.
Thank you. I'm happy to be a part of Anand's world.
I am for people are you some woman who is like how we would be happy or how we would avoid getting any uh, so
Okay.
so I go from your any or your experience.
All right. Thank you for asking that question. And as you asked me that how should we be happy? That is the first question. And the second is how not to get angry at a situation. So, number one, for you to be happy at a situation, it comes from that, your emotional well-being, and are people around you able to understand you or not? Because if you're not able to communicate, then it becomes very difficult. Like right now, when you're trying to interact with your brother and you know that he's the best person and you're confident and you're assured, so you'll be all settled. But if right now it'll be somebody else who's trying to handle the system, it'll get you a little frustrated. And probably if he's not understanding, that'll get you angry also. So, number one, happiness lies in the fact if we are in the present. Now you look at children or infants at the age of 2 years, 4 years, 5 years old, right? And you see how they're happy. It is because they can't think about the future and they can't think about what happened in the past. So they're in the present. So, Anand, if we have to be happy, I always tell people if you are present in what you're doing, like right now, I'm just present with you. I'm not thinking what session, what training, what patient I'll see after this. I'm just with you. So, this is happiness for me. This is mindfulness. And when we talk of how not to get angry, then I always suggest that it is better if somebody is trying to get you angry, you have to understand that the person is also going through his or her own situation in their own life. That is why a person is getting angry at you. So, whenever you look at a person, you look at their emotional responses. We are not able to look at the background from where they're coming, right? So, it is important to understand why the person is getting angry at you. Second, if you think you are also getting angry, it is better to walk away from that situation for some time. Because if you stay in that room or you keep listening to that person, let's say in your case, you can listen to music. Because if you keep listening to the person, then in that case, it gets very difficult, right? And there'll be a time you might just get triggered, right?
Oh, I, I know from your any or your experience.
Okay, they're all from majorly from experience, and there are a lot of studies also around it because when we speak of the fact that somebody gets you angry, then there is a theory called frustration aggression. Okay, there is a so when somebody gets you frustrated, then the next one is you're bound to get aggressive, right? I'll give you an example. For example, I'm driving on the road, okay, and somebody is honking at my car regularly. I will get frustrated, and eventually, the moment I see anybody driving from very close corners to my car, I'll get aggressive. So aggression always comes from frustration, and in order to reduce that anger, it is important that you do some breathing exercises, and especially the long exhale. And there is another thing that it is said that when you are angry, try to do counting from 10 to 1, but go backwards like 10, 9, 8. See, anger is like a bubble. The more you think about it, the more it grows. But the more you don't think about it, don't focus on it, it doesn't grow. And I'll give you a very simple saying, as they would say in school, when you are sad and when you're mad, then you can never add. So when you're mad with anger, or when you're really upset or you're very sad, then you can never do mathematical calculations because the brain is not working logically. No? So emotions will always hijack your rationality and logical brain. And the research is called limbic hijack or amygdala hijack. It is the emotional brain when it gets hijacked, then you can't think rationally.
If if my is pretty sick, then definitely should go a doctor. But if someone has emotional problem, should they talk to the family and parents?
Okay. Okay. I must first of all say this is a very good question. So it's a brilliant question. So it is excellent. And you're being very sensitive and intelligent enough to frame this question. So I really like the question. So that's right. Uh, One, for the physical health, we go to doctors. Now, let's say somebody unfortunately gets COVID, right? So has to go and take medical treatment for it. The doctor will give an antibiotic. But when we talk of mental health or the emotional well-being, the first place ideally should be to talk it out is your family, your brother or your sister or your parents, whosoever is around. But let's take a situation where the family is not ready to listen or they're trying to brush off your suggestions, right? Then in that case, a friend, in case if you have a good friend, but still if you think nothing is happening out of friends and family, then a psychologist or a counselor. And if you think that the problem is severe in terms of a person is getting, you know, thoughts of self-harm, self-injury, suicidal thoughts, the person is very depressive in nature, then in that case, the person should consider seeing a psychiatrist. That is very important.
Everyone has their own idea and opinion of what is the difference between a psychology and not psychology.
What is the difference between a psychologist's suggestions and non-psychologist suggestions? Okay. All right. So a lot of people think that Psychologists are like same regular people that talk to you. What's the difference? But psychology is a part of social science. And when does a subject become science? Just the way that you started in asking me in the beginning, it is based on the scientific studies, right? That is why it is called social science. So when you collect data, collect information on the basis of that, you establish research, it becomes science with an empirical study, right? So when if a psychologist is referring after doing their formal education, then it is on the basis of certain science that it is important. And for all the mental health issues, they're not just psychological, they're also biological. Because for all the neurotransmitters in the brain, they're as biological. So depression is as biological as what COVID is. It's just that we do not give the right kind of attention the way it should have been given, ideally. So if there is it, it's like saying that if you have COVID, would you like to go to a doctor or would you like to talk to a friend? You will go to a doctor if you have COVID, right? So similarly, if there is a mental health issue or there is an emotional crisis a person is going through, if there is a counselor or a psychologist. But as I said, if there is something very severe in nature, self-harm, depression, insomnia, or any other delusions, hallucinations, the person should go to a psychiatrist to begin with.
I I get maybe know how we would be happy.
How we should be happy. Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
are you always happy?
Okay. All right. It's very difficult. This one is very difficult. So I know it's not possible for anyone to be happy. So there is this quote by a philosopher who says, "The more that you know is the more that you don't know."
Yeah.
Because the more that you research about something, you know that there is a lot more to be studied, right? And man is always searching for a meaning for his life. There is a very famous book called Viktor Frankl, uh, Man's Search for Meaning. Whenever you get time, probably you can listen to it audiobook. It's a very great book. So it's not it's not possible for anyone to be continuously happy, but it is important that you could derive contentment from what you're doing. That is important. Staying happy is not possible because it is just one of those emotions that you have. It is just one of those emotions, and you can't. It's like you can't stay in one room of the house all the time. No? You will be moving around. Similarly, you'll have different emotions. So happiness is important, but then it is equally important to feel other emotions for us to feel human. But how do we stay happy most of the times is when you feel or when you know that you're privileged and when you have a lot more things than what the others have. I'll give you an example. So, like right now, I might just come up with 10 more problems, no? That I have this, but I don't have this. So, when I start focusing on what I don't have, automatically I'll get dissatisfied.
Yeah. Yeah.
Automatically I'll start getting upset, even though I'm doing all right. But yeah, I'd also like to tell you, brain is a machine which wants to solve problems. Okay. So when it doesn't find one, then it starts looking for a problem. Let's say you're having a good day, and then all of a sudden you say, "What? Why is everything all right? There has to be something wrong." And then brain picks up a problem all of a sudden, and it tries to solve that
Yeah.
problem. So brain is a problem-solving device. But otherwise, if you stay in the present and when you start counting your blessings for whatever that you have in your life, it becomes better. It becomes better.
Do you also sometimes suffer emotionally?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So there were a lot of doctors who were treating COVID patients who got COVID themselves because they came in contact
Yeah.
with the COVID, right? Because you can't stay away from the people who are coming, and you'd have to see their throat and their mouth, and no matter what gloves and no matter what mask you wear, it will come on to you. Similarly, when somebody is telling you about their emotional problems, about their emotional distress, it is bound to get rubbed onto you. It is bound to get, you know, it gets spilled onto you. And then you start thinking like that, because until unless you don't feel for somebody else's problem and you have empathy for the other person, you'll not be able to help the other person. And somewhere deep down, you get affected yourself. The countries in the West, they say for all the psychologists and therapists, they should go for their own therapy, because you give therapy to people and you listen to their problems. What will happen to your own problems? So it is important.
What made you sad?
What makes me sad? What makes me sad is when I feel that, when I'm trying to express something to a person and the person is not able to get it. And when I see that we have lost, as a human being, we've lost compassion for others. So there is no compassion. People don't have empathy. And it's a race wherein everybody is racing, especially in a place like Delhi. So that makes me really sad. And also that people are not willing to talk to each other. In the age of electronic devices, it is a blessing that you and I are connected from a distance. But at the same time, a lot of people are not talking because they're only in their devices.
Yeah,
So that is one thing that I feel. Uh, the human emotion is missing in these days. I'm sure you would have also felt
yeah.
at some point in time.
Mhm. When you, when you meet other psychologists or motivator,
Hmm.
do you more every with them?
Okay, thank you. So I see in today's time with Instagram coming in and with Snapchat and a lot of other people, a lot of people have become armchair psychologists, or a lot of people have become motivational speakers. But I would say until unless there is science backing to what they're saying, okay, and there is research backing to what they're saying, so then it becomes very difficult to conquer or agree with a lot of them. But as long as they're encouraging people, um, I'm all right with it. But going ahead and talking about issues from a very clinical perspective otherwise is not a good thing, because a lot of people have started. I see a lot of personal coaches have come up, a lot of life coaches have come up. This concept was not existing few years ago. All of a sudden it has come up. So I would say that if you're looking for an advice, so might as well go ahead and read up the reviews before you go ahead and take it from someone. Look at the credibility of the person before you go ahead and you know, seek an advice.
Yeah. In one of your video, I heard you our mind like more.
Hmm, that's right. That's right.
Uh, if they if they if there is no that problem that and it was going his house. Oh, people follow then going to and for the best.
Okay, I get it.
Oh, of
So,
the the how do it the toll is
okay.
if me he is like he of people of the this is more the we are in the and that it is all right in a year of your water is someone as a more drop of body. The the water is not the image. How we how can we know the bad news and the poor or good news?
Okay. Okay. All right. How can we ignore the bad news and just focus on the good news? All right. Okay. So, I'll get on to research. Now, as I said, that the brain focuses a lot on the negative. That must have been one of the videos in which I was mentioning. There is a concept called in psychology negativity bias. Our brains are more wired to listen to more negative news, or our brains are more wired to hear something more negative or remember more negative. So, for example, let's say I went to a conference and there were 10 people who heard me. Nine people said, "Oh, I had a great time. There was a lot of learning." But one person said, "No, no, you know what? I was so tired. I thought I'll just walk out. I did not feel nice. What are you talking?" So I'll forget the other nine. I'll just remember that one who did not speak nicely to me. Right. So evolution says that even before this stage, wherein we are working in offices or making rockets, when we were just hunters, when the man was only a hunter in the early age, from that time, he, especially the man in comparison to a woman, the man was wired to look for negative because the quicker he recognized the threat in the environment, be it predators, be it lions or anything, there were more chances of him to survive and to pass on to his genes to the next generation. So we are wired to look out for threats because if you are able to survive that threat, then survival of the fittest. Then you'll be able to adapt to the situation. So we are naturally wired to look for the negative, which is all right, which is natural. So you should not overlook that. But there are times because of our continuous period of anxiety and stress, then it's only the negative that you start looking at. Then that balance gets disturbed. Now think of the news channels. Okay, for all the news channels that you've been watching or been listening, YouTube, online, wherever, how many news channels are actually giving you positive news? They're usually talking about accident. They're usually talking about the number of people who got affected by COVID, some emergency, some crash landing, something. There is hardly two good news coming in a period of half an hour. Hardly. If there is a good news, then they're only talking about the government scheme or talking about anything, no? But other than that, people helping out people, people reaching out people, or people recovering from a disease, or there is very less of it because our brain doesn't want to, you know, take that up. So our brains listen to more of negative news, and that is why it sells. It's called yellow journalism. Now there is a research by Gottman, Gottman, Gottman and Gottman. There's a couple, husband and wife. They say that if a person receives one negative compliment or one negative criticism, then he has to be given five positive comments in response to one negative. Then only the effect of that one negative comment can be done away with. But we do the opposite. We say five negative and hardly one positive to the one person. And as a result of it, most of us are demotivated because we don't get the encouragement. There's no one telling us anything nice. So that becomes a big problem. Uh, it's all right to be negative because it helps us in screening out threat, in screening out uncertainties. But too much of focusing on threats and uncertainties can make you anxious, can make you paranoid. Can A lot of people got extremely anxious in the period of COVID, because of which you'd go up and read, and there'd be people who became breathless and were admitted to hospital, but a lot of them got into panic attack, and some of them died also because of the anxiety. So anxiety is good, but too much of anxiety can turn into a psychiatric or a psychological issue.
Or you you hear a video about reading body behavior. I have the time how heavy I don't believe
All right.
the body let you different from but
Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you. So body language is again based on science, just like psychology. And there are times when we're not talking, but still our body gives out a lot of subconscious signals. So let's just say that you ask me, what were you doing yesterday? And I don't want to tell you what I was doing yesterday. All of a sudden, you see somebody scratching their head, doing something under their chin or touching their face. So you can't control body. No matter how much you try to control your face, still your eyebrows will go up if you're surprised at something, right? If you're angry at somebody or you don't like something, you'll close your eyes. You can't control because these are subconscious signals. So when you're trying to speak, there are times that you might not just tell the complete story. But with body language, there are certain signals that get leaked out. Now, everybody thinks that we're looking for clues in face, but I'd like to tell you, it is not in the face, it is in the feet. Because the principle is that any body part which is the further away from your brain, it is difficult to control. Let's take an example. Let's say there is a song that you enjoy. So for most of us, our feet start tapping, no? You like the song, the feet starts moving because you enjoy it. Or let's just say you have an exam tomorrow all of a sudden, which was expected next month. You'll get anxious again, the feet starts moving. So that is one. So my predictions is, I would just say, it is all based on whatever science that is available. So for a lot of times, it is right because I don't just look at one signal. I look at multiple signals. So if I have to see if a person is lying or not, I just not look at the person just touching his face. I'd look more than that. I'll ask more questions. I'd look at multiple cluster of signals before I say. And when you said that, is it different from person to person? Then I always quote Salman Khan. Let me quote Salman Khan over here. I don't know if you like him as an actor or not. Doesn't do good acting. He doesn't do good acting. He's not good at it. So I'm glad about that. So, but most of the times when he's talking, he talks like this. He's doing this. Okay. So, but a lot of people don't talk like that. Usually, as per the research, the nose has a lot of erectile issues. So, a lot of erectile tissues that the nose has. So, whenever you ask a difficult question and the person feels a little stressed, so they'll quickly touch their nose. Okay. When they get a little stressed and the stress levels are high. But with Salman Khan, he's always doing this. It doesn't mean that he's always stressed. No, it's different from him. That's a part of his baseline. So baseline of each individual can be very different. Some people, they continuously keep moving their leg. They just have a restless leg, but it's not with everyone. So the body language signals are different from one person to another.
Thank you so much for the information and in and your time.
You're most welcome. And I can't thank you enough for calling me to your world. And I had a great time. And it was very smooth, I must say. Um, I hardly got to know anything, as in, there were a lot of times that I thought the software is not needed. I, I can, there are times I can just understand you completely. So it is very good. You're very expressive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.